Here are my NES cartridges, at least the good ones anyway. These are all really solid games, and I recommend you check them out. Let's go ahead and get started with the one that's usually in my NES, Jackal from Konami. Great little art here with a Jeep running around with guys in it. And Jackal's really addictive, very arcade style action. Really holds up. A lot of these games, especially my shooters, hold up well even under today's standards of what retro gaming is. There's Vindicators. This is one of the Tengen carts. This isn't as good as Jackal, but it's kind of the same style of game with a more space theme. Afterburner. You can get a bunch of Sega games through Tengen. Yeah, you'll notice it's a black cart, but it's not going to burn out your system because Tengen actually does have the lockout override chip. So that's why I have a couple of Tengen carts. One of the only companies that can do the anti-lockout code without breaking your machine, because they actually did win the lockout code rights in a court battle. This one is Alien Syndrome, a very dusty copy of Alien Syndrome, I'm afraid. But you know, that's another great Sega game. Blasting aliens, side scroller, kind of like Golden Axe a bit, only with aliens. This is Fantasy Zone, of course, great Master System game now on the NES. I think it's not the best port, but it works. You get Fantasy Zone on the NES. Here is Guerrilla War in excellent condition, an SNK game. It's a lot like a faster version of Akari Warriors, only it's got tanks that are durable and it's got prettier graphics, verging on being 16-bit with all the detail. This is Sky Shark from Taito. It's you know, ridiculously hard game to play. Don't even attempt to play this without a turbo controller. But it's got great graphics with a World War II theme to it. Then we got Guardian Legend. It's a mix between Zelda and a shooter. It's a really obscure hidden gem. Got this 285 from a local game shop, and you know that is a horrible cover, but Guardian Legend is a great game. It is like Zelda, Blaster Master, and a vertical spaceship shooter. Kirby's Adventure. I haven't played a whole lot of it, but really feels classic, and rightfully so, as it is the first Kirby game. Shatterhand. This should be in every NES collection because it is such a common game, but it is really, really solid. It's a later NES game, but it's got some great beat 'em up action with some nice sci-fi robot battling themes and good bosses. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yes, I have this, the one that everyone says is the super difficult platformer. Rightfully it is, but I really like this version of Turtles more than the arcade Turtles because this one was really intended for the NES. The arcade ones are really quarter munchers, and this one's just a hard platformer that is really nostalgic. If you were a fan of the show in the 80s, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, your friends all had this game and they would all push it on you from their NES. So you got some memories from just looking at these game screenshots, driving the turtle van and stuff. A Journey to Silius, or however it's pronounced. Not the easiest game to find. In fact, a lot of people complain that they have to get ROMs in order to find it. In order to get it, if I had known it was so rare, I wouldn't have looked through dozens of video game bins trying to find a copy. I did find this copy with a very nice cover. Journey to Silius. It's kind of like, I think, a side scroller with the Terminator theme to it. At one point, it was probably intended to be a Terminator game, but they dropped the license for whatever reason. Moving on, here's Ghosts and Goblins, Capcom. You know, everyone knows Ghosts and Goblins, not to be confused with Super Ghouls and Ghosts. It is a different game from that. Okay, so here is Tecmo Star Force. This is a very basic vertical shooter, the most basic vertical shooter, but it does hold up pretty well. Nice score battle mechanics. Zanak is probably the most insane NES shooter on here. In the plastic case on the bottom is Blaster Master. Very happy to have this copy because, like Ninja Turtles, this is another game that your friends would push on you, and for getting out of vehicles and being able to go and fight huge bosses. It's just a very large gameplay experience overall, and one of the most iconic experiences on the NES, probably due to the music and all the art for designing those enemies and the levels. Tiger Heli. I've got this one actually in the box, in the original paper box, so you can see the screenshots there, hopefully. And Tiger Heli is great. For my G.I. Joe fans, I recommend this game because, it's like driving a Fang helicopter and dropping bombs and stuff. This game is really tactical and brilliant. It's just a vertical shooter with a helicopter. Driving a Cobra Claw, essentially, because it's so small and so weak. So here is Rad Racer. Not a lot of solid racing games on the NES, but Rad Racer is really common. One of the first games on the NES, because of this great Strider. Very non-linear. You have to go back and forth between levels, collecting items, and it looks good. This music is great, very much in the same vein as Capcom's Bionic Commando. G.I. Joe, the Atlantis Vector. This is the second G.I. Joe game on the NES. I don't have the first one, but I do enjoy this one for what it is. It is made by Capcom. And, it's pretty good. You get to choose your characters, you get to play with a whole bunch of Joes, and you basically get to wreck some detailed levels. Snake Rattle and Roll I played a lot of as a kid, and finally my friends owned it, but like I'm saying, this is another one that your friends would push on you. It's made by Rare, same guys who did Battletoads. This isn't as big of a game as Battletoads, but it is really unique with its perspective and geometric shapes. Okay, so here's Tetris. Everyone knows Tetris. I don't need to say anything about that. It is Mario Brothers Duck Hunt. Again, I don't need to say anything about that. Very common, but everyone wants to play it, so I keep it around. Burai Fighter is just got this crazy art with a guy fighting a dragon, shooting lasers at him. There's some Japanese text on it, even though it is a US release cartridge. Just the crazy metal. Taxon makes this game, and Yellow Label. So pretty sweet. I like Burai Fighter. It's a difficult to control but very satisfying shooter. Super Mario Brothers 3, nothing to say about that. Just to keep all that data. Here's Dr. Mario. I was lucky enough to pick this up for $3. Dr. Mario is an extremely addictive puzzle game. I'd say it's even more addictive than Tetris. More satisfying than Tetris. So here is The Legend of Zelda. Gold. I don't play a lot of RPGs, but I would manage to find Zelda at a yard sale, and I was like, okay, I need a legendary. Silliest. Metal Storm. I bought it for a mere $2.85 from the local game store, and I would not have also looked for this one if I had known it was so rare. But there you see it. Bask in the glory of one of the greatest NES shooters, the greatest NES game possibly of all time. Metal Storm. It has a little robot on it and a Death Star-like thing. It's made by I think that's the last game. Yep. Trog. Actually, a game I actually have been hanging on to for years. Trog is a really neat Pac-Man clone involving you playing a dinosaur, and all these cavemen are trying to eat you. And it's a really great Pac-Man clone. Every level gives you innovative new mechanics to play around with, like trampolines and warps and stuff. Pineapples to eat. Okay, well that's it. I'll leave you NES collection video. Later.